Friday, the 29th of June. Welcome, everyone, to your Business Morning, the final trading and business day in the month of June. And we're technically rounding off the first half of 2018. I am Bosin Amafaye. We hope you have a good time being here with us despite a number of disturbing and distressing stories around the city of Lagos yesterday. But that will be part of what we're discussing. We'll take a bit of a highlight of that towards the end of the programming. But let's step into Abuja. Yesterday was when the National Economic Council, which is presided over by the Vice President, held its last meeting for the month of June. And the Finance Minister briefing the Council on the state of the economy and its finance. So let's take a bit of a summary of those items that were included in the presentations we got. According to the latest was the deadlocked meeting on FAAC, which is the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee, which were deadlocked on Wednesday because of disagreement between the Ministry of Finance and the governors on one side and the NNPC, the State Oil Corporation, on the remittance figures, which the committee found unacceptable. That's according to a statement from the Office of the Finance Minister. Meantime, the NNPC says its remittances to the Federation account was short in the month of June due to the $5 billion joint venture cash call, cash payments made to the IOCs and the PETRO-PRODUCTS prices balancing and other factors that shortened the State Oil Corporation's cash position. Hence, the shortfall in the figure remitted to the Federation account and which was brought into the FAAC, what you call the FAAC, for consideration by the Finance Ministry and the ministers, or the commissioners of finance for the 36 state governments. That meeting, according to the Honorable Minister of Finance, is deadlocked, but will resume very soon, using the exact words of the Honorable Minister of Finance there too. There's no date set for the resumption of the FAAC meeting. For now, no money has been shared between the three branches of the three arms of government, according to the Finance Ministry. That has been looked into. She said the President and the Vice President have been briefed about the state. The NNPC, of course, you've had since yesterday afternoon their own argument on why the June Federation account remittance was below the level. The governors, according to the NNPC, were asking for additional 40 billion naira to be brought to the table to share for the FAAC, and the NNPC says no. And that's part of what we'll be following up through next week when we step into the new month. Meantime, the Finance Minister gave an account of where the excess crude account was. She said that the administration has added $80.6 million into the excess crude account, and that now brings the balance position of Nigeria's excess crude account to the doorstep of $2 billion, $1.916 billion as at the 26th of June. You got a pen and paper there, I forgot to mention. You may need to write a bit of these figures down in case you're following the money. Meantime, how much do we have in the stabilization account? The current balance as at June 26 was 18.892 billion naira. But the government, the National Economic Council, of course, that's the administration, seems a little bit unhappy with the stabilization account. So the Economic Council decided to appoint a committee of four. That's the state governors of KADUNA, KOGI, EBONYI, and Lagos. Their job is to review the stabilization funds, administration, and operations, and report back to the National Economic Council, presided over or headed by the Vice President. What about the Natural Resources Development Fund? That's it. We have so many funds anyway. That's another one is the Natural Resources Development Fund. The current balance in that account is 133.715 billion naira. That's bringing us up to speed by the Finance Minister. But let's go into what came into the news a week ago. The State of Nigeria Sovereign Wealth Fund, managed by the NSI, Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority. That's the agency managing Nigeria's Sovereign Wealth Fund. 5 straight years of profitability, according to the minister. If you exclude the foreign exchange transaction gains. The NSIA has made $88 million in profit. That translates to about 27 billion naira for the year 2017. Under review, the total assets under management by the NSIA are currently about 1.25 billion the government made an additional $250 million into the NSIA. The Minister of Finance says that money was not received until the third quarter of last year. Meantime, the NSIA, according to the minister, provided a return on assets of about 6.6% in US dollar terms over the last 1 year. And now the NSIA is shifting its investment focus to local infrastructure in power sector, in roads, in agriculture, and healthcare, and all of that. So the NSIA will be doing less of foreign investment and putting Nigeria's money in Nigeria. And that's a little bit in line with what the EFDB president, Dr. Adeosun, says in South Korea last month, that it's time for Africa not just to put their sovereign wealth in sovereign or foreign assets, but to invest those monies at home, because Africa needs those critical infrastructure. That those money shouldn't be sitting down and helping foreign countries and companies to grow. So let's put our money where our mouth is. Then the Economic Council also reviewed the state of Nigeria's education sector. There's a ministerial strategy plan which was designed 2016 to 2019. It should be expiring next year. That was presented. There's a review of that presentation to the council. More investment is needed in education, and that's part of the discussion yesterday, including effective collaboration with the stakeholders. But also very important was that the NEC noted that the standard of basic education at the state government level or at state levels are falling drastically. So the NEC yesterday decided to set up a committee to look into that, and that will include the state governors of KANO, OSUN, Delta, and ANAMBRA. Also sitting in that committee will be the central bank governor and, of course, the Minister of Education. Of course, you can tell why the central bank governor is in there, to make sure that whatever money comes in there, the central bank keeps one eye. And finally, in our communication technology sector, the Minister of Science and Technology presented the new national addressing policy. That policy is put in place by the administration to look at issue of database of residents in Nigeria in order to enhance their identification, to know where you live, your street numbers, your house numbers. Those database, collect those data and use it to map out infrastructure and other things that we'll need. But now the government is collecting data on everyone. So the new addressing system being warehoused under the Science and Technology Ministry is looking into that. But how would we fund this program? So the NEC yesterday decided that this new system will be funded by the federal government, the state government, the local governments, and levies and tariffs for MDGs and private sector donations and what have you, to make sure that we get the national addressing system in place. And we need all of that to have database and in order to plan infrastructure, how many we are, where we are, what we're doing, and then we'll have infrastructure better planned and put in place for 180 million people. That's just a bit of a summary of yesterday's National Economic Council meeting, the final for the month of June and to wrap up the first half of the year.